Hi, good afternoon. Welcome to those who came from the overseas. My name is David Tang. I'm the property director of MTR. For those of you who don't know anything about MTR, MTR is actually a metro company. We operate the rail network here in Hong Kong. And actually, we also operate the rail network in Stockholm, Alexander. So one would wonder, why do you ask MTR, being a train operator, to come here to talk about walkability? We actually carry people around using trains. If everybody walks, right, we'll be bankrupt very soon. So I scratch my head as well. So today I'm going to share with you within MTR actually what we do in terms of the town planning, and when we design our new railway network, how we incorporate elements that create the convenience for people to walk around. Something that Alexander said that resonates with me: density and closeness. In Hong Kong, it is particularly relevant. We are in a very densely populated city. Hong Kong, we have a landmass of a little over 1,000 square kilometer. It's not large. We have over 7 million people. However, we all live in 1/3 of our landmass because the other two are all country parks that we cannot touch. So how do we create a solution for Hong Kong, and what role, what part we play? In terms of mobility ranking, my team gave me some data among 84 cities, that I caveat there just in case this information is not correct, that we came top in terms of the urban mobility. Now why is that? In Hong Kong, as I mentioned before, you need a philosophy to move people around, especially with the small roads, streets that we've got. And also for all those who came to Hong Kong for the first time, you will see that we have amazing skyscrapers, and they are not office buildings. Most of them are in fact residential buildings. So large amount of people, they all get out in the morning at the same time and rush to the roads and go to work or go to school. So what do? Now here in Hong Kong, we have something what we call the transit-oriented development, i.e. we are using railway development as a backbone to move people around. Today, over 40% of the population are now within walking distance from railway, and 70% of our commercial and office facilities are located near to our railway network. It is extensively used by people of Hong Kong. Give you some figures. We have a population of just over 7 million people, and on any given day we have something like 5.2 to 5.4 million passenger trips going through our railway system. So it's very high usage, and it helps people to get there. Now, is Hong Kong therefore a walkable city? Now, we've just talked about the densely populated society that we live in, the MTR network that moves people around. I'll show you something called the Central District. I had lunch today in the Central District. Very, very packed. I would invite all of you, or any of you, especially those from the overseas, right? Go to Central during lunchtime. It is walkable, but if you're on the street level, it's not that walkable. But Hong Kong finds a solution. We build a very big elevated footbridge network that connects all the buildings in our CBD. MTR builds an underground walkway tunnels network that also connects Central. So for me to move around today, I used our MTR system. I went underground and used the MTR network and be able to get around within Central. This is a solution particularly important for Hong Kong and in 3 or 4 of our very, very busy districts, right? I think the MTR network and also the underground system, we are helping the society, we're helping the city to move around by walking. Another example here is using a new railway development. We are connecting buildings around the vicinity and also newly developed property development atop railway facilities, and we can actually link the community together. So if I now will swiftly move on, because that clock is giving me a lot of pressure, I'll tell you, you guys don't see it. That seconds is sort of like ticking. Now the rail plus property model in Hong Kong is unique. Unique in the sense that we do not know of any other railway company around the world that actually uses this model. The rail plus property came from the concept of value capture. Invariably, all railway facilities around the world, when you go out there to build it, it's funded publicly by the government. It is capital intensive, very difficult to finance, and we all have to find a way to finance the railway. And our rail plus property model provides a solution. I will talk a little bit more of that a little bit later on. I won't talk too much about this one, but just to let you know, since you come to Hong Kong here, the Hong Kong example, MTR, we are a company of around 40 years. We were listed in the Hong Kong Stock Exchange in the year 2000, and starting from nothing today, we have total asset of around 240, 250 billion Hong Kong dollars. The rail plus property model essentially centers around we are given rail property development rights atop, adjacent to, or within the railway land plots. So as we invest to develop the railway network in Hong Kong, we are able to, and I want to use the word community, we are able to create, to build, and to help connect communities in Hong Kong, which is very important. Now, how do we then connect and how do we create these communities? Walking is a very important aspect of what we do. I'll show you a little diagram like this. We always talk about vertical and horizontal integration. I suppose one competitive advantage that MTR has got, unlike other railway company, is our ability to integrate. The word integration is very important. Land by nature is a very scarce resource. Once you put a railway station there, how else are you going to make good use of that piece of land? Apart from building atop and adjacent, you also want to be able to connect to the community around and to embrace the community and to unite the community into one. And that's what we do. One gentleman sitting in the audience is my Chief Town Planning Manager, and we are quite good at, and we excel in, integrating communities by making use of the railway as the hub. Remember I said a few minutes ago, railway as the backbone. If we are going to move people around using our railway, so the trick or the secret is all those people will need to be able to get to our railway station. Alexander talked about 500 meters in Stockholm. In Hong Kong, I think the property would be worth maybe 10 times more than the figure that he shared with us, all because of the high land cost here in Hong Kong. 500 meters is also the walking catchment that we design. If one were to imagine the average walking speed of a human being around 1.4, 1.5 meter per second, 500 meters, you could do it in about 8 to 9 minutes. When we implement a railway, we start thinking about our passengers. We start thinking about the community that we are building. We start thinking about the residents, our tenants in our shopping mall. We are all often even connected to public transport interchange, intermodal with buses, minibuses, taxis, and car parks. How we facilitate. I can't talk through every single slide here because that clock is still annoying me. However, I'm flashing all these through. They are quite self-explanatory. It shows you a number of different integration that we do, both the vertical and the horizontal that we talked about. I suppose the one thing that I would share, the Hong Kong example would be, we use very, very little land resource in Hong Kong, and yet we are able, by using the different stratum and the level, both underground, above ground, and go way up towards the sky, to house a number of different facilities, and we integrate with our communities horizontally by linking them to our railway systems. We also talked about, the professor talked about connectivity, walking. The other thing that we need to think about would be the weather. We actually have not touched on the weather. Hong Kong actually is quite tough. I think 5 months of the year, it's very hot to walk on the street, whether you have the eco-city or not the eco-city. And the other probably 5 months of the year could be very wet, and we have typhoons. One other thing that we do at MTR is to create a pedestrian linkage system. Either they are underground or they are fully enclosed pedestrian walkway that you don't actually have to interface either with the streets or the elements, i.e. all weather, all season around. These are some of the examples. I won't do much more advertising. Telford Plaza is one of our shopping mall. It is around 1 million square foot, but every day we have, for your information, 320,000 people gracing their presence at Telford Plaza. Reason? We have residential sitting on top, we have a railway station connected to the mall, and we have offices also connected to the mall. And it is one of the prime examples of how we connect up the communities and to enable people to walk. We talked about walking, so that you are able to access your public transport system. You're able, by walking, to go from home to railway, or home to shops, home to office, home to F&B. We do that. That's the integration part that we do. This is the Hong Kong network. We have today 85 railway stations, and over half of them, they have property development projects or commercial development that was partly developed by MTR over the last 40 years. And one of the, I suppose, competitive advantages of MTR is we are able to provide a very convenient railway system. Through our development, through the integration that we do, the seamless integration that we do, people are able to walk from those facilities straight into our rail station. One case study here. This is Lohas Park. Lohas Park is a site that is 32 hectares. When completed, there will be 50 residential towers. Each of them will reach, on average, 50 stories, 50. People may not live that high up in Stockholm or even London. When completed, around 70,000 people will live there. Now, I would call that a community. This is what MTR, what we plan, what we design, and what we do. However, what is relevant to today's theme, the walkability theme? If you look at this layout plan that I showed to you here, even if you live the furthest away from our MTR station, you are merely 550 meters away. Based on my speed of 1.4 meter per second, you still reach our railway station in 9 minutes. What's more, we are providing an elevated pedestrian footbridge, where the proof, doesn't matter if it rains outside, for you to access to the railway station. Secret of success is by having this pedestrian network closely and seamlessly integrated with our railway, we're able to provide a culture for people that you get a bit of exercise, you get to walk, and you're able to access the railway system. Again, sorry to use Alexander again. Alexander polled earlier on about whether we like an eco-city, techno-city, or a free city. I was very pleased to see that you actually have a train in the techno-city, or else we would be out of a job. And the polling seems to suggest at least half the population still vote for a techno city. And I hope here in Hong Kong, we're able to share with you a business model, an expertise, an experience that hopefully in times to come, apart from in Hong Kong, we can extend to the rest of the world. And finally, although we all like to live in an eco city, but horses and bicycles will not do MTR any good. With that, I thank you very much for your attention, and I'm right on time. Thank you.